welcome everybody to the Frivolous Podcast, episode 8. I am your host, Jacob. I'm super excited to be back here for another solo episode, our 4th solo episode that we've done. It's kind of crazy how fast, the time has gone by since I've started doing this. It's insane that I'm on episode 8, that it's been 8 straight weeks of the podcast. There have been times where it's been really, really fun, and most of the time I have a lot of fun, but there's times like this week where I don't want to say this is a chore because I'm choosing to do it. I'm not getting paid to do it. I'm voluntarily doing this, but I just had a really busy weekend, and I've had a really busy few days, so I'm just kind of tired, and I just kind of want to not do anything. But here I am. I'll suck it up. I'm okay. I know, first world problems. I'm excited to be here, though. I'm not trying to say, I'm so upset that I have to do this, so, this is just going to be a waste of my time or anything like that. This is still going to be an absolute great episode. I'm going to give you maximum effort, okay? And I'm going to hopefully make you laugh a little bit. I might make you cry a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I do. I don't have anything planned that could make you cry, but maybe. You never know. I don't know why I'd make you cry. Anyways, weird start. Cool. I don't, honestly, I don't have a lot planned for this episode. Like I said, I had a really busy weekend, and so I didn't have a ton of time to really think of the stuff that I wanted to do. That being said, it's still going to be a normal episode. I'm still going to talk about anything and everything, okay? And we still do have a rank up session coming up at the end. I had a lot of people that liked that at the end of my episode with Cade last week. They liked the bracket and the ranking the movies from that way, as opposed to just doing a tier list, which I'm glad that people like that. So I'm looking forward to doing more of those. I'm going to talk about that a bit more later on once I actually get into that segment. But yeah, we're going to be doing one of those today too, and we're just going to be talking. I'll talk about my weekend a little bit, since I've mentioned 86 times already that I was really busy. So, I went to the casino on Saturday night. No big deal. No big deal or anything, We robbed it Ocean's 11 style, so that was really cool. They still haven't found us or anything. It's crazy. We went to a casino that was about 40 minutes away from me. Lost $60, but hey, $60 isn't bad. $60 is $60. I only spent $60 though, so that's not. I lost 100% of my money. So it's not great when you look at it that way, but when you just look at I only lost 60 compared to most people who lose 200-300, it's okay, yeah, that's a good day. But I lost 100% of my money playing blackjack, so that's cool. Which I'm gonna talk about that for a second, dude. I was getting so unlucky playing blackjack, and I know it's not entirely luck based. Obviously, it really is luck based. Obviously there's some strategy with do I hit? Do I stay? Especially if you're at that weird part where it's 15 or 16 or 14 or whatever. But hey, it's mainly luck based. It depends on how many players are at the table, whether it's a full 6 or if it's 3 or if it's 2, where you're sitting at. Depends on what the dealer gets. There's so many variables. We were playing single deck blackjack too, which I had never played before. So you had to have the cards hidden, because if not, then you could count cards or whatever. Some of the dealers were very strict on that. I wasn't doing that, but there was a guy at the table I was at one time, and he was talking. He was showing his cards to everybody else, because he was trying to play with everybody, because he was we're against the dealer, not each other, so we should play with each other. But she was you can't do that, because then you can count cards. I'm all right, let's calm down, please. You're very overestimating the people that you have sitting at your table. But okay. I know that's a common thing. I'm not trying to say counting cards isn't common, but it's dude, these guys were drunk. I was are they really gonna be counting cards? I think we'll be okay. Blackjack's fun, but I was not having a great run. I had one tiny little run where I was doing good. I got up $40-$50 on that hand that I'd spent, and then once I got to that peak, that apex, I just slowly went down and down and down, and I was oh, cool, that's fun. So that was cool for me. But hey, something I do want to know, actually, and I actually talked to Eric about this, and I don't think he's going to mind that I talk about this because it's not anything crazy. But I was telling him the day before that I was going to the casino the next day, and he was saying, he was just telling me what he likes to do and whatnot. And I mentioned that, I like to do blackjack, but I like to do the video ones. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there's ones where it's like they just have a camera on the dealer's hands and you can play like virtually, like you don't have to be actually at a table with other people. And Eric made a comment like, yeah, I like to do that sometimes too because it helps with like my social anxiety. Sometimes it's like I can't like actually go to a table because it's too much for me. And that's 1000% that's me. That's been me forever. And actually Saturday when I went to the casino was the first time that I actually like sat down at a blackjack table and played with other people. I mean, I had a couple friends. I had my fiance with me, and another friend was playing at the table too. But still, I mean, it was still like really hard for me. And I had never even played the single deck blackjack before because the rules were different. You know, the hand signals were different. So I was like, it was kind of stressful at first and kind of like anxiety inducing. But then I got used to it and I got comfortable, and it was a lot of fun. But I was proud of myself. I'm gonna toot my own horn a little bit. I'm proud of myself for doing that because social anxiety is really hard to overcome sometimes. And there were times when I was playing it that I was a little bit uncomfortable because I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. Like I know the rules of blackjack, but I didn't know like the intricacies of that specific version of it. So I was kind of stressed sometimes. The dealer was talking to me sometimes. I kept kind of messing up. But hey, it worked out. I had a good time. Like it wasn't, you know, I'm not like looking back and be like, oh, I can't believe I did that. There's nothing like that. The only thing I'm looking back on is the fact that I lost $60. So I'm very proud about that. So hey, if you have social anxiety about anything, you know, I challenge you this week, or maybe this month. I don't know. Oh, the month's almost over. So well, actually, by the time you hear this, yeah, the month will be. You'll hear this in 2 days. The month it'll be over soon. So I guess like a week, or if you want to do the month, I'll give you a couple extra days. But I challenge you to just do something that you're usually kind of uncomfortable with. I don't mean like an extreme, like something that you're like incredibly uncomfortable with that just makes you like curl up and have to leave any social setting, but like something just small. I don't know what it could be, but just I challenge you because it's good to come out of your comfort zone every now and then. I know that's a very cliche thing to say, and a lot of people say that. They're like, you got to come out of your comfort zone. It's good for you. It's you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And now I know for me, I've always been like, all right, dude, whatever. Because I mean, it is true, but I'm like, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to be comfortable, okay? And I'm cool being in my comfortable little shell. But I was able to get out of my shell a little bit, and it did help that I had friends with me. I think that was really it. Like, if I was gambling by myself, there was no way that I would have just gone in by myself. But I had one of my good friends that with me, so I was able to like go with him, and it was super good. And then obviously my fiance joined in too, so it was great. It was awesome. So that kind of helped too. So I mean, hey, that's a big key I think to social anxiety is if you have somebody or some people with you that can help you like feel better, you know, that can help you be more comfortable, kind of a little more extroverted than you maybe, so they can kind of take the lead and you can kind of follow in behind them. That was what was really helpful for me, and that made me like feel really good and feel really comfortable. So I'm just, you know, just challenging you. You don't have to do it, but I mean, it is good every now and then to do something, especially when it comes to anxiety, because anxiety can be really just like irrational. And I'm not saying that whatever you have social anxiety about is irrational, but it can be. And I think my social anxiety about like playing at a blackjack table is somewhat irrational. I don't know the game super well. I haven't been gamble. I don't gamble very much. It's not like I'm a pro or anything. So it's like I get it, you know. But at the same time, it's like these people are drunk. These people are gambling money too. They don't really care. And honestly, there were a lot of people, and not just at the game I played. You know, when I was with my friends and they were playing like craps and whatnot. There was a lot of people that were very willing to be helpful and like to teach, you know, other people at the tables, and including the dealers and whatnot and people that work there. So like in my head, I'm like, oh, it's going to be horrible. But like, there's so many nice people that are willing to help you and willing to help you learn, because it's like, hey, we're all here having a good time, just chilling, you know, gambling some money. Like why would we be a jerk and not teach you when you want to learn just like we learned, you know, years and years ago. So shout out to those people who are willing to be teachers, you know, and I don't mean like school teachers. I just mean like in life, you know. If you're like I wasn't say well endowed, but that's not the word. That's not the wording I want. If you're well versed in a craft of some sort, like in this case gambling, which I would call gambling a craft, but if you know how the games are played and you see people that are kind of confused, like explaining it to them is super. You don't have to do that, but that's really cool that there were people that were willing to, and they were kind about it. They wouldn't get like frustrated if you had a bunch of questions. Like my friend and I had no idea how to play craps. We were watching one of our other friends play it. And one of the ladies that was working there, she was talking us through it the whole time. She was explaining it to us. She was very, very helpful, very kind, very friendly. And I know she works there. It's like, oh, it's her job. But hey, some dealers are not very nice. Some people that work in casinos aren't necessarily the nicest. But she was going out of her way to help us when she didn't have to, because we weren't even playing the game. we were just watching. So I thought that was really cool. So shout out to people like that, because I think it's really cool to like help others when they're kind of confused, because without people doing that, like, how do we ever learn anything? You know, if I didn't get taught how to do if I didn't get taught how to edit, you know, whether it was from the internet or whatever, then it's like, how would I be doing this right now? You know, without people like teaching you along the way, whether it's in person or via somebody like just posting videos on YouTube or whatever, like tutorials, how would you ever learn anything? We'd all be kind of stuck in our own ways. Or we just have a lot of trial and error, which is okay too, but it's a lot nicer to have trial and error when you're on the right path as opposed to when you're completely on the opposite side. Weird tangent, I know, but I'm just thinking out loud here. And so shout out to people like that, because sometimes I think I view humanity a lot lower than it is. And I guess that's kind of debatable, because sometimes you're like, wow, humanity really is the worst, and then other times you're like, okay, it's not so bad. And so that's that, and I tend to kind of be in between there. I think I like to think I'm a realist. I'm not really pessimistic or optimistic, but I think I kind of lean towards being more negative and more pessimist. I kind of expect the worst out of things, and I don't have a horrible viewpoint on people, but there are times where I'm like, oh, like, these aren't good people, or this isn't, you know, people don't really care about you, and they're not gonna want to help you. But there's so many good people out there, and like, so I guess it was kind of eye-opening to me to see how many like nice people there are out there and how many good people there are, even in something like simple as just explaining a game to somebody who's confused about it. Because like I said, that's going out of their way. They're minding their own business. They could be doing whatever they want. They don't have to help. They're choosing to. It's not like we asked them to help us. They're choosing to help. They're choosing to inform and choosing to teach so that you can learn, and then you can play the game yourself in the future or even that night. So that was really cool. Something else. So yeah, that was my Saturday. My Saturday was the casino. Saturday night was the casino. We were there for 6-7 hours. Super fun. Yeah, that was really fun. There is a funny story there, but I don't. It's not about me, so I'm gonna not tell it unless I get permission to tell it. Yeah, it was super duper fun. I had a fun hanging out with my friends. It was a really great time. And then Sunday, the next day, we had a birthday party at 11, and we were there in the blazing sun for like 4 hours, and then so like until 3, and then at 5 we had a game night at a friend's house. So it's just super busy Sunday. Like I was barely home Sunday. But I had a good day Sunday, but it's just like, man, I was just so busy. Like, I didn't know, like, when I was going to be able to film it. I was trying to figure it out, but hey, a time fit, you know, I can't talk right now. I found a time that fit, and it's working out right now, and it's all good, and I'm going to get this uploaded at the same time. You guys won't even know. For all you guys know, I filmed this on Sunday or Saturday, but I didn't, but it's going to be like I did, because it's not going to be late or anything, because I'm on top of that. My schedule should be lightening up soon too. I mean, once the school year's over, I'm technically unemployed, so my schedule will be super free. So we're gonna get 4-hour podcast. No, I'm just kidding. So that'll be interesting. I'm gonna get a summer job. That's for sure. What that job will be is to be determined. I'm trying to figure that out. So that's fun. I don't know if I want the job to be like my future career job, or if I want it to just be like a placeholder until the next school year. If I want to work at the school again, I'm in a conundrum right now for sure. And it's very stressful not knowing what the heck I'm doing. It's so stressful because I just, you know, it feels like you finally, once you graduate college, you know, it's like, all right, this is it. I got my degree. Like, what's next? Let's get that job, that career job, or like that stepping stone to get to that final goal. But I'm at the point where I don't even know what the final goal is, first of all. And second of all, it's like, what's my next step? You know, am I going to continue working at the school and not making a lot of money? Or am I going to get, you know, a full-time job doing something that's closer to my field? Or am I going to just have to get another part-time job doing something like that pays better than what I make now at school, but it's still not what I want to do? So I don't really know what's going to happen. There's a lot of options, a lot of things I'm considering. And, you know, I'm going to weigh the options once I have time to think about it, thankfully, but I also don't want to be unemployed for more than two months. I mean, 2 months is saying a lot. That's almost all summer. I don't want to be unemployed for more than like a month, but we're going to see what happens. I'll figure it out. I'm not like asking for pity or sympathy. I know there's plenty of opportunities to work out there. I just want to do something that either pays well and that I'll kind of like, which I know the kind of like part is really hard, or something that's related to my field and that can A, look good on a resume, and B, kind of like help me, build up that experience, that work experience that I would need for a future job. And that brings me to kind of the apex of it all, where I have that final goal that I don't know what it is, and that's so stressful. Like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in a year, like school wise or like career wise. I have this psychology degree, and if you don't know, for the most part, to get like a really good job with a psychology degree, you have to get a master's degree. And it doesn't have to, it can be a master's in psychology, it can be in counseling, it can be like a school counseling, mental health counseling, sports psychology. There's obviously a ton of options. And you can get a job with just a bachelor's. You can get a job with a psychology degree but that's just a bachelor's. That was so hard for me to say for whatever reason. But you don't necessarily need the master's for some jobs, depending on what the job is, of course. Problem is, I haven't really found anything that really fits what I would like using that. I know, and I do use it at the school a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't use my psychology degree at the school. I use it every single day. It's very actually insane how often I use it at the school. But I would like to be using it more. I like it to be the primary premise of my job is to be using the psychology degree. And I fully accepted the fact that I will probably have to get a master's in something. I'm okay with that. Master's programs, oh my goodness, I'm stuttering so hard today. A master's program, depending on, what it is, it only takes anywhere from 2 to 4 more years. I shouldn't say only. 4 more years is a lot. But it then depends too if you're doing full-time or part-time. When I do my master's, I'm doing full-time. I'm getting that thing done as fast as possible because I want to be done with school, right? Like, who doesn't want to be done with school? I already did an extra 4 years. Now I have to do an extra 2. Awesome. So I'm going to be doing that as fast as possible, which, yeah, 1.5 to 2 years is actually very plausible at that, which is what I've read. Depending on the master's program and where you take it at, because some will only let you do it part-time, some will stretch it out, some will start in the summer. It varies, because a lot of times with the master's program, they want you to be able to work and get work experience with your bachelor's degree, and then you can also go to school to get that master's, so then you can work up and get a better job. So then you can be doing like kind of like a double whammy. You're getting the work experience, and then you're getting the master's degree to like add on to it. And I haven't found anything like that yet, so that's cool. Feel like I'm a little bit behind, but it's fine, Who doesn't love a comeback story? I'll make a comeback, I guess. So yeah, if anybody has any ideas for me, comment. I'm just kidding. Don't comment down below about that. But something I have been considering, actually, and I know nobody really cares, but I'm just, this is my audio diary. I've been considering sports psychology recently. And if you don't really know what sports psychology is, it's a variety of things, but the primary thing is, you work with athletes and you kind of help them get back to who they were. And that sounds like very vague, but basically, like, if you watch baseball and let's say there's a shortstop and who's usually like really good defensively or really good at the plate, let's just do defensively. But the past like 2-3 weeks or whatever, he's had his error rates, which you don't know what an error is in baseball. It's when you're throwing to first base or throwing to second base, wherever, and your throw is just bad. It goes high, it goes too far to the right, too far to the left, etc. It's like uncatchable, and then instead of getting an out, the runner reaches safely. So let's say that this shortstop has had like 4 errors in the past like 8 games, which is a lot for a shortstop, which is a lot for any player in the MLB. 4 errors in the last 8 games is a lot. And so they're like struggling. So the job as a sports psychologist is to talk to them and kind of get their their mind right, because obviously that can do a toll to you mentally if you just feel like, every time I throw it, I'm just going to throw it away because I'm doing so bad. And so instead of so you're trying to get them out of that funk mentally so that they can physically go back to the athlete that they were. And baseball is one example. I mean, and it works with hitting too. A lot of players, if they're in a slump, if they're not hitting the ball well, they'll see a sports psychologist. I mean, players in every sport do it, because a lot of times you overthink it and then you try to like change things up or tweak things up a little bit, and then that makes it even worse for you and messes you up even more in your form or whatever you were doing, when sometimes it's just all mental and you're just being your worst enemy and you're kind of blocking yourself from being able to actually do this. It's like the athlete's version of writer's block almost, where it's like you are in your own way, and once you kind of get out of your own way, like, the results will be really good. They'll be back to what they were before the block. So that's that's kind of the gist of what a sports psychologist does. Obviously, there's other things to it. It's not just that, but that's like the primary thing. And as you guys know, I really love sports. I mean, sports, I played them growing up. I watch them all the time. I love sports. I really do. And I think it'd be really cool to work with athletes. And no, I don't think I'm going to be working with like Tom Brady or LeBron James or anything like that. But I just think it'd be really cool, even if it's just like college athletes. And I don't even mean like Division I, even just like, D3, whatever. It would be really fun to work with them and just like get to be around the atmosphere and get to have people to root for too. Because obviously, if I'm trying to help you get back to that player you once were, I'm gonna be rooting for you when I watch your games. I'm gonna be like, all right, let's go number 12. You got it, So that'd be really fun too. And I get to be around the sports atmosphere, which I really like. The caveat to it though is that you might not need just a master's. So I was doing research on it, and the internet, as you guys know, it gives you so much information, and sometimes that information can contradict itself. And so I was reading on one website that's like, oh, you don't need a doctorate degree. You can get a really good job and become a sports psychologist with a master's degree. And then I was reading on another site, it's like, you need a doctorate degree to become a sports psychologist. So I'm like, I don't know. So I've sent an email out to my former advisor at my alma mater to, kind of see what he knows about it and kind of get more information on it. But how frustrating is that too? I'm just like, just give me the information straight up. I shouldn't be getting like contradicting sources from these websites that are supposed to be about psychology, and it's so frustrating because I want to know, because if I have to get a doctorate, I'm not going to do it straight up. Doctorate is a lot of school. It's, I already you have to get the master's first, which is at least anywhere from 2 to 4 years, depending on how you do it, which is what I mentioned earlier. Add in the doctorate, which is another 3 to 4 years, again, depending on how you do it. So I'm looking at potentially 6 to 8 more years of school. Like, dude, I don't want to be doing school when I'm in my 30s. Like, I want to be done with that. And I think it would be cool to get a doctorate. Do not get me wrong. And like, I obviously am not going to make fun of anybody who has a doctorate or in anything, because that's really impressive. But that amount of like work and effort, and I just don't want to be doing that. I want to be able to like live my life and focus on my career, as opposed to just I don't want to call it wasting, but it would feel like wasting my time doing school. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. If I have to get a doctorate in it, I'm not going to become a sports psychologist. If I can do it with just a master's, I will heavily consider it. Honestly, it sounds like a lot of fun, and I've been thinking a lot lately, and I think this is just me being hard on myself, but it's just like, I don't know if I want to necessarily be a counselor. I like helping people. I love helping people and listening to their problems and giving them advice and just, being somebody that you can vent to. I really do enjoy that, and I genuinely like being somebody that people trust and people want to talk to. And I have students at the school that they confide in me, and they tell me, like, they vent to me and they talk to me all the time about their issues. And I really appreciate the fact that they trust me to do that, and it really means a lot to me that they trust me and they value my advice and all that. And I think it's really cool. But I just started thinking about it, and just, if I'm a counselor for like real life problems, like, I don't want to say real life problems, because they give me real life problems, but I guess I just, I'm 24 right now. If I'm counseling somebody who's 50, let's say, I don't necessarily know how I'd be able to help, is what I worry about sometimes, because, I haven't experienced a lot of things that they've experienced, because they're not near my age. When it comes to, my friends or students at the school, yes, I am obviously like 10 years older than some of the students at the school and whatnot, but, well, more than 10 years older than a lot of students, but like the students that vent to me are, they're like 7th, 8th and up. So it's like, I'm like 10 years older than a lot of them, but it's like, they're still young, and I can still remember what it was like to be in 7th grade, 8th grade, high school, and have those problems, personally and whatnot. So I can relate to that, and I can, help them by, like, teaching them kind of what I did, or doing the opposite of what I did, depending on the situation. But with like somebody who's older than me, I don't know, it would be harder for me, because I'm like, I can't relate really, because things are different, and I know I don't necessarily need to relate to a client or a patient, but that's the best way that I am able to like give advice. And I don't mean like to say, oh, when I was your age, I did this, because I don't want it to be about me. I don't talk about myself. I don't be like, I did this, you should do this. So I just, I don't mention myself because it's about them. Why would I be bringing up myself? Like, could you imagine if somebody was venting to you, or you were venting to somebody, and then you're just like, yeah, I was just really struggling with this lately. And they're like, oh yeah, I've had problems similar to that before. Okay, that's not, I didn't ask, but thank you. Like, you're supposed to be listening to my problems. You see how, like, annoying that would be and unprofessional that would be? So I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here with the whole, like, 50-year-old thing. I think I'm overthinking it. I have been doing that a lot lately, but it's just been something on my mind. And I think, time will tell what I end up doing. I still like helping people, so it's not like counseling's out of the, it's out of the picture. But sports psychology is making a real good push here. So we will see. And I'll keep you guys updated. For the seven of you that actually care, I'll keep you updated. And we'll see. Okay, so something else I wanted to talk about, and I thought about when I was at the casino on Saturday. Just going to be drastically switching gears here. Had my little serious talk. Had my little, audio diary spew out, I guess. Yeah, spew out. But I want to talk about something that really bugs me. You could say this is a pet peeve of mine. And it shouldn't be a pet peeve because it shouldn't be a thing. Okay? I'm going to preface with that. It should not be a thing. Fellas, this is for fellas only. I mean, it probably happens with women too. But obviously, I can't speak on that because I'm not a woman, so I wouldn't know. But fellas, hey, listen. Hey, listen, fellas, listen. Hey, everybody listen. Can we please, and I mean this, can we please wash our hands after using the bathroom? I mean, can we please do that? Please. Pandemic or not, we should be doing that. I don't care if there's a Ebola outbreak, if smallpox comes back, if the Black Plague is back. We should be doing it irregardless. Like, dude, when I was at the casino, I used the restroom a few times. I see guys just go pee and walk out. I'm sorry, what? And listen, I've seen that many, many times before, but it made me think of this subject, and so that's why we're talking about it. And some guys are listening to this like, I don't see what the big deal is. Fellas, I get that when you go to the restroom in a public restroom and it's a urinal, you're not touching anything, right? You're not touching a door. Well, it depends on the restroom, of course. You might be touching a door, but like at the casino, you weren't touching doors and you weren't touching, like the toilet or anything. You're not flushing because it automatically flushes. So I get that. You're still touching your wiener, though. Hey, you're still touching your wiener, okay? And I don't want your wiener germs touching the slots that I'm touching, okay? Okay? I mean, I shouldn't have to say that, though, right? I shouldn't have to be talking about wiener germs. That should be a known thing. Listen, because unless you just showered and you just washed your wiener and then you went to the casino, your wiener's dirty, okay? Okay, it's probably dirty anyways because it's confined in that area and it sweats. It gets hot down there. That's just how things work. So, hey, wash your hands. Even if, unless somehow you are peeing and you unzip your pants, you pull them down. Well, you don't pull down the pants, but you pull down the waistline and you're not even touching your wiener and you're just going hands-free mode like you're driving a car. Hey, then maybe I'll give it to you. If you're not touching anything but your clothes and your wiener's just hanging out and you're at the urinal and it's just going and you're hands-free, hey, maybe I'll give you a pass. Maybe. But I still think you should wash your hands, especially if you have to open a door to get in or out of the public restroom. Because so many people are doing the same thing, so you're getting their germs on top of your germs, and your hands are just covered. And I don't know if I'm not really a germaphobe, but I just like being clean. I don't like if I touch something or if I know something's dirty, I can feel that. Like if let's say I let somebody else use my phone, or like my phone would have been touched by some kids at school or whatever, like they grabbed it or whatever, I would come home and wipe this down with a Clorox wipe. 100%. I already do that after the end of each day anyways, because I don't want all those kids' germs on here, because I don't want to get sick, because kids are germ magnets. Different subject for a different day though. But fellas, I almost said boys. Fellas, like, we got to start washing our hands more. I've seen people take dumps and leave without washing their hands. You should be arrested for that. I don't make the rules. Actually, I do make the rules. You should be arrested for that. what are you doing? You're wiping poop off your butt. Like, here's the thing too. Do they even wipe at that rate? I bet you some guys don't even wipe. I'm not even trying to be funny at this point. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if a guy is willing to walk out after wiping his own butt, not washing his hands, I would bet that he doesn't even wipe his butt. I would bet he just poops, gets up, dips. I don't understand. I don't understand, because like you might as well not wipe if you're gonna have the poopy germs on your the poopy germs on your hands. You might as well just leave the poop on your butt then. You might as well. What's the difference at that point, huh? You'll just be a little stinkier. You're still gonna be gross either way. Dude, I get so tilted about this because guys are just so gross, and it's such a stigma, it's such a stereotype, right, about how guys are just gross. And then it's like, I'm not super gross. I'm probably gross in some things that I do. Obviously, everybody's a little bit gross. And if you don't think so, you need to do some reevaluating. But like washing your hands, to me, it's just like, it's such an easy thing to do. We're taught it at such a young age, and yet us adult men aren't doing it. Like, come on, what is that about? Like, I just don't get why you would be touching your genitals or your butt or whatever, and you would still think that you don't need to wash off that. And like, if I entered a public restroom and I didn't have to use the restroom, let's say I spilled something on my shirt or whatever, so I had to wipe it off or dry it off or whatever, I would still wash my hands before I left because I had to use the door to get in. Like, dude, it's so mind blowing to me, and I think I could talk about this for an entire episode. I could talk about this. I'm not even joking you, because it leaves me bumfuzzled, honestly. Yeah, I'm bumfuzzled. I said it. If you don't know what that means, it means confused or perplexed. It's basically the same thing. I just don't. I'm going to have some guys too that are like, dude, I do that, so what's the big deal? Listen, you don't have to think it's a big deal, but I do. I think it's just gross. Well, we're also in a pandemic, so why are we adding more germs to the world? Yeah, let's add more germs to this world that's already so many weird germs and weird viruses and diseases out there. Let's just add more to it, right? Who cares? Let's go crazy. Let's see what we can make, huh? Maybe we can make Frankenstein next. Maybe the zombie apocalypse will come next, huh? Is that what we want? Are we going to turn into District 9 with the robots? We get the robots? Why did I say robots like that? Wait. I said robots. I said robots. Well, I don't know what's wrong with me today. I also stuttered really hard after that, but we don't talk about it. We don't bring it up. Anyways, I'll move on if I can. I'm just gonna be thinking about that, and it's very frustrating me. So fellas, hey, if you're one of those fellas who will pee and not wash your hands, I challenge you to just start washing them. Just start washing them. Use soap too. None of that. Just rinse them off with water. That doesn't do anything. Okay. When you clean your car, do you just spray it with water? No. You get some soap on that bad boy, and then you scrub a dub. And then you rinse it off, and guess what? It's nice and clean and shiny. Treat your hands like you treat your car, okay? And I know for some of you that's really hard because some of you aren't good drivers, but treat them like you treat your car. If you wouldn't wash your car like that, huh? Actually, I've seen some people's cars, though. Some people's cars are absolute filth. Like the outside of my car is pretty dirty right now. I live in a driveway with gravel, so there's a lot of dust during the summer, so it kind of gets really dirty. But I don't have like a bunch of trash and a bunch of like dirt and crap in the car. I mean, like it's not a pristine looking car, but it's not super dirty. But dude, some people, man, like I've been in cars and I've seen cars that just have a bunch of trash on the ground and there's just like old food and old food bags. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, first of all, I don't even eat in my car that often. I don't get fast food super often, but even like when I was working in food and I would have like a lunch break and go get food somewhere, I didn't eat in my car that often. And if I did, I would throw it away on my way back to my shift. Dude, I'm not going to leave my food trash in the car. That's just gross. Some people are just gross, man. Maybe I am just like a germaphobe or like it's OCD. I mean, it's probably, I know I'm a little OCD and I know it's probably a little bit of germophobia, but I would love to know does anybody think I'm being crazy about the washing hands thing? I feel like that's just common. Like, I feel like that's just common courtesy to your fellow human, just to wash your hands so that, your germs aren't combining with already all the other germs out there. It's just gross. And here's the thing. Nobody wants your wiener germs on them. Nobody. Okay? Not even your spouse or partner wants that. Okay? I mean, sometimes that's a different. That's not gonna dive into that, but you get the point. Nobody wants those germs, especially like. No, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go to where I was gonna take that because it's just weird. It's gross. So we're gonna move on. So that's that. I'm sorry about that tangent, but I think it feels good to get that off my chest, honestly, 'cause it's something I think about a lot because I see it almost every time I use a public restroom. I see a guy walk by after using a urinal and just leave, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm not gonna touch literally anything he's touching. So I gotta remember that. I'm taking a note of that mentally. Something else. This isn't a pet peeve. This is like I guess you would call this like an OCD thing maybe. And I know some other guys, some other like male friends of mine have it. I don't know if girls really care about this because I know some girls that are female women that make fun of it. Like this guy I know, his wife will make fun of him for this. So I think it's mainly like a male thing, but it might not be. Again, don't know because I'm not a female woman, but so I'm just gonna apply it to the males. But I'm very bad with like if there's any wrinkles on like my shirt or whatever, I will like almost not wear it. And I know like somebody else that's like that. And this guy I'm talking about has literally 3 kids and is married, like all that, and he's the same exact way. And his wife and like his like family members think it's super weird, and I'm like, oh, that's not weird. I'm the exact same way. And I don't know if you can see it here, but my shirt's kind of actually wrinkled right now. And this is actually one of my favorite shirts. It's by Stance. It's really cool. For those of you who are just listening, it's like a crushed up soda can, but there's like flowers. There's roses coming, or there might be tulips actually. But there's flowers growing out of it. It's really cool. I think it's really awesome art. But it's almost always wrinkled. Even if I immediately pull it from the not the washing machine, the dryer, it still gets a little bit wrinkled. And I fold it. I fold my clothes. I don't just like keep them in the laundry basket. I fold my clothes after I do my laundry. And so I'm just like, man, and I don't want to iron my t-shirt, because first of all, ironing takes time. I mean, not that it would take a long time for a graphic tee, but it still takes time. I'm like, I don't want to be wasting time, ironing. But it's like I almost never like wear this shirt because it's wrinkly, and it is somewhat wrinkly right now. But I just decided to suck it up. I'm gonna wear this shirt and I'll deal with it. I'll be okay. I'm a big boy. So I just want to know anybody else like that? Like, are you very like stingy with the wrinkles on your clothes? Because I've seen guys that walk around and they have a bunch of wrinkles on their clothes. They don't care. I'm not really that way. If there's some wrinkles, I'm okay with it. But if it's pretty wrinkly, I'm like, I can't do it. It's just an OCD thing for me. So I wonder if that's just kind of like one of those weird irrational like OCD things, or if it's more common than I thought. And hey, ladies out there, if you are the same way, like let me know, because I've never heard of any women that are like that. But women don't really iron their clothes as often though, because you don't, unless you have like dress pants. Yeah, dress pants I guess you would have to iron, because I don't think you iron dresses or anything like that. But I don't know. I don't know, honestly. I'm gonna admit that I'm a little bit naive and ignorant on that. So I'm not gonna say anything more because I don't want to come off as completely idiotic. So I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was kind of like an interesting little thing that I was thinking about, because I was like, oh, what shirt am I gonna wear? I had to work today. I have to do laundry later. I was like, what shirt am I gonna wear? Most of my clothes are dirty. It's very warm today. It's like one of the warmest days we've had all year. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then I'm just like, I'm gonna wear this somewhat wrinkled shirt and I'm gonna suck it up and deal with it. So hey, this is kind of two things. I fought some social anxiety on Saturday night at the casino, and now I'm fighting a little bit of OCD by wearing a wrinkled shirt. So hey, if you're out there, you are out there. I mean, you're listening or watching. If you're listening or watching to this, thanks for tuning in. I'm done. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I can't talk. But if you are tuning into this, that's probably I should just generalize and say tuning in. I challenge you to do something that you're not usually doing. Like this, I usually wouldn't be wearing a wrinkled shirt. I want to try to look my best, but hey, I like the shirt. I didn't have a ton of choices, and I just went, hey, you know what? Screw it. Who cares, right? Because people aren't paying as much attention to you as you think. I've said that a few times on this show, but it's really true. People really, don't care about you. Like, that sounds really bad. Somebody that's really depressed is like, I knew it. I know. It's like, no, Eeyore. It's not like that, okay? What I mean is, like, people that don't know you don't care. Like, I've seen people, when I've worked in food and retail, I've seen people that quite literally walk around in pajama pants. And they'll walk around in like, those pajama bottoms, a hoodie, and they'll walk around, And guess what? Would I personally ever do that? No, I would never do that. But do I care that they do? Absolutely not. Because that's what, I don't think about them anymore. Yeah, I'm using them as an example here, but I couldn't tell you anything else about that person besides the fact that I've seen that in public before. So it's like, who cares? Like, I just look at it like, oh, that's interesting, whatever, who cares? Like, nobody really cares that much. Everybody's doing their own thing and they're lost in their own world. Like, we're all side characters in their like video game, in their movie. Like, we're just like NPCs. We're the extras, right? Like, they just zoom by, never gonna see him again. Like, you just see him in the one frame, that's it. So think about that next time you're like really like, oh, I can't wear this in public because of that, or because it's wrinkled, or because people are gonna make fun of it because it's stupid or whatever. And same thing goes with like haircuts and stuff too. Get whatever haircut you want, man. If you want some funky hair, some wacky hair, I say do it. If that's what makes you happy, do it. I don't care. If you're a girl and you want to shave your head, do it. Who cares? Who cares? Honestly. If you want to dye your hair a certain color, do it. Who cares? And this applies to all genders, to everybody. Like, get that haircut you want. Dye your hair the color you want. Do what you want with yourself. If it makes you happy, do it. As long as you're not hurting anybody at the end of the day, I don't see anything wrong with that, Yeah, I've seen some wacky hairstyles before, and I've seen some hairstyles that I'm like, I personally would absolutely never do that. But do I care, or do I judge them for doing that? No. I think it's actually cool to see somebody who's so confident in themselves and their style and their look that they will do what they want to do, as opposed to being like, oh, this isn't really what the societal norm is, and I don't want to like have people staring at me or making fun of me behind my back. Listen, people are gonna make fun of you almost regardless of what you do. Even if you look exactly how you're, quote unquote supposed to look, they will find something to make fun of you for. So who cares? Be yourself. It's a lot more, you're going to be a lot happier if you're being yourself, and it's going to be a lot more fulfilling, and you're going to have a much better life if you're just like actually doing the things you want to do and being who you want to be. So if you want to get tattoos, but you grew up in a religious family or religious household or religious people, get the tattoo. If it means something to you, awesome. And guess what? That's actually, we're going to go in this subject. We're going to go into it. Get the tattoo. If you don't need it to mean something. I think we get so caught up in that. And a lot of people do. And I know there's a lot of people around my age, like around, early 20s or whatever, that will just get tattoos regardless if it means something or not. They will just like, hey, I thought of this. I think it would be cool. I want to get it, which I respect and I applaud. That's awesome. And if you want to, if you're somebody who like personally, like you can't get a tattoo without it meaning something to you, that's okay too. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're like, hey, I'm not going to just get anything on my body. I want it to mean something to me in my life and my journey and whatnot. I totally understand that, and I think that's awesome. That's really cool. But there's no reason that we should be judging people based on what their tattoos are, like just because it doesn't have meaning. Because I have friends who have some really, really cool tattoos that have absolutely zero meaning. Do I care? No. I'm like, dude, that's really sick. That's a really sick tattoo you have. I think that's really awesome. And so meaningful or not, like you can have some really cool art in your body and you get to show it off to your friends and family and all these people. So we need to stop. Like that needs to stop. Like who cares? If somebody wants, if somebody wants the generic, trees on their arm, let them get the trees on their arm. It doesn't have to mean anything. Obviously, like, oh, my family once was trees. Like obviously not. Obviously trees aren't as deep of a meaning. I mean, they can be deep, but they probably got it because they thought it would look cool on their body. And that's okay. That's freaking awesome, dude. I think I have a friend. I think Cade does. I think Cade has a tiger on him. I don't remember. I hope I'm right. I'm pretty sure he does. He has a tiger on him. And I don't know if there's any meaning behind it, but the tiger is awesome. Like, it's so cool. And if there's meaning behind it, that's awesome. But if there's no meaning behind it, it's still an awesome tattoo that I think is really cool. And so, like, I want us to end that stigma. And I don't know if it's really, as prominent as it once was. But I just think judges, I'm like, oh, that's permanent. Hey, man, I know it's permanent. Like, the amount of people, and something that bugs me, too, and I've seen working in food and retail, working with, women coworkers that have tattoos, like, old men will come up and be like, that's permanent? Like, oh, how does your boyfriend or feel about that? And it's like, hey, first of all, like, stop. That's none of your business. So, yes, they know it's permanent. They're not idiots. Women are just as smart as men. Newsflash. I know it's not 1937 where they, with the women's suffrage movement. I'm just kidding. I know it's not that. It wasn't. Okay. I know it's not historically accurate. Anyways, but I know it's not, back in your day when you just stayed at home and did nothing. But hey, they're equal, Well, they should be equal. They're not really treated equally, but they should be treated equally by everybody. That's a really different political topic. So it's like, so first of all, there's that. Second of all, they can do what they want with their bodies. Like, my fiance can get what she wants tattooed on her. Obviously, some of them might be like, why would you? Like, if she were to get my name, for example, I'd be like, you should not get my name tattooed on you. I'm not a fan of, like, getting your partner's name tattooed on you. I'm not a fan of that. If you get that, that's fine. Me personally, I'm not a fan of that. So I would, like, try to deter her from doing that, right? But it's her, at the end of the day, it's her body. She can get whatever tattoos she wants, right? And so, like, I'm not going to, like, love her any less for her getting what she wants on her body and being happy with the art on there. Like, are you kidding me? That's so ridiculous. And also, like the thought that, like, oh, you have to get it approved with your boyfriend or husband or whatever, like, that would always bug me. And it always bugged me, like, the tone they would talk to my female coworkers about, like, the tone they would talk about it with them. I'm like, hey, they can do what they want. They're not going to date you, grandpa, okay? They're not going to date you, first of all. And second of all, they don't care about your opinion. They're not doing it for you. They do it for themselves. You sometimes do, but typically you do the thing, you style your hair a certain way, you get the piercings you want, you get the tattoos you want, you dress a certain way for yourself, to make yourself feel more confident, to make yourself feel better about yourself, to just feel good. Sometimes you might do it for, like, a date to look good for, the person you're going on a date with or whatnot, which is understandable. But a tattoo, you're going to get for you because you want it, because you think it looks cool, or because it's meaningful to you, or both. And so we need to, like, who cares? End of the day, who cares? Obviously, there are some really bad tattoos that I am all for making fun of. Ben Affleck's back tattoo, I think, is hilarious. If you haven't seen it, Google it. It's insane. It's like a phoenix rising from ashes or whatever, and it's like his entire back. So some of them I think we can make fun of and laugh at, especially because some tattoo artists don't do a good job. And we've seen, like, on, tattoo redos and all that stuff, like, some really bad tattoos. So I'm all for making fun of really, bad, poorly done tattoos, or just kind of like, I don't want to say idiotic ones, but just like kind of ones like, head scratching ones. But I'm not going to make fun of somebody for getting cool tattoos that have no meaning. I don't think they need to have meaning. Even if you are covered, if you've got 2 full sleeves on your arms or whatever of tattoos, and there's not one tattoo on there that means anything to you, I don't care. I still think it's cool. Tattoos are very cool, and I think we need to get rid of this taboo, like, oh, if you get tattoos, you can't get a job, or if you get, you make sure it means something because it's permanent. It's like, hey, yes, we know that, but also you can still get a lot of jobs having tattoos nowadays, because the stigma around it has shifted a bit, which is so good, and it needs to continue to shift to the point where you can be covered head to toe in tattoos and it doesn't matter. If you are a good candidate for a job, you are a good candidate for the job. It shouldn't matter how you look, how you dress, maybe how you smell. I would say if you don't smell good, then maybe. But how, what color your skin is, what your sexual preference is, none of that should matter. It should only be based off of your credentials and the type of person you are. What's on the inside is what's important. That's all that should matter. So I'm hoping we can see in the future that shift more so, because there still is a bit like, hey, don't get tattoos on your hands, because you still want to be able to, if you want to be able to cover it up with long sleeves and whatnot. So if you get a hand tat, it's gonna be harder for you to get a job. But it's like, again, I've seen people with hand tattoos that have jobs. Same with face tattoos. I've seen people with face tattoos that have good paying jobs. So, I just think everybody should just mind their own business. I'm all for people just doing what they want to do, but I'm not for people trying to impede themselves in others' lives, especially people that they don't know. It's like, and you're just buying a pizza from. Okay, like, I can tell you, and this is primarily to older people, typically like boomers. The people that you are picking up food from or buying clothes from, they don't want your opinion on them. Like, I don't want some 85-year-old's opinion on my shoes or on my clothes or whatever, unless you're gonna say something really nice about me. If you're like, hey, those shoes are really cool, or you're really nice, or whatever, that shirt's awesome, that's fine. But if you're gonna try to give your opinion on it, and if it's not a positive one, none of us want to hear it. I will tell you that right now. Because first of all, we don't care. Second of all, we don't care. It doesn't matter. You don't know me. You don't know my life. You don't know anything about me, besides the fact that I work here and that I have to be nice to you or I'll lose my job. So, Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I got that off my chest. I'm just tired of people being so judgmental about quite literally everything. It's just very frustrating to me. It's like, it's typically older people because they were raised in a different time. But it's like, stop being so stubborn in your ways and just adapt and just be okay with how things are. And here's the thing: if you aren't okay with it, you just shut your mouth, you bite your tongue, and you deal with it. You're a grown up. You have been on this earth longer than most. You can go 10 minutes without making a comment about somebody's blue hair or about somebody's arm tattoos or whatever, or somebody's gauges in their ears or somebody's nose piercing. You will be okay. Okay? The world's changing. That's how things go. If things were the way they were 80 years ago, things would not be great. Okay? Things would not be great. We'd still be doing wars. Well, we're doing wars right now. Okay. Different story, but different subject. Anyways. All right. I've been talking for like an hour, which is actually kind of crazy. It hasn't felt like that long. So, that means we're going to go into the new segment. This is really the second time doing it, called Rank Up. So, if you didn't watch the last episode, Rank Up is basically going to be a segment that I'll talk about that in a second. Rank Up is a segment that is going to be done where either I and my guest, or just myself, it depends on the episode, will make a tier list or a bracket. It's probably going to be a bracket. I think the bracket is more fun. I don't really like doing tier lists that if you can't see it. But we're going to be doing brackets, like ranking things. So in the last episode, it was a random bracket that I found online, and it was ranking movies. It was just random movies. Like it was just random movies. Like there was Get Out, there was Avengers, there was Spider-Man, there was Batman, there was, all Toy Story, all these movies. And so how it works is there's matchups. So let's say it's like the Avengers versus Batman. You get to choose which one you think is better. And then that one goes on. And then you just do that for all of them. And then at the end, you have one winner. It's just like a big March Madness bracket. If you've ever watched college basketball in March, that's how it is. I mean, it's a bracket. It's pretty simple how it works. You have matchups, and then if the team that wins moves on to the next round, and then they play the team below them that wins that round. It's very simple. So yeah, it's a new segment. We're gonna be doing it. This is something I haven't fully decided on, and I would actually really like your guys' opinion on this. So comment on the YouTube or just comment on TikTok, on one of my TikToks or whatever about it. Because I'm definitely going to do it with guests. We're going to do brackets with guests. It'll be random. It'll be food. It'll be candy. It'll be TV, movies, shoe brands, stuff like that, right? But I don't know if I'm going to do it with just myself all the time. I'm doing this one because it's my personal list. But I want to know what you guys think. Would you guys want me to do it? Obviously, I'm going to do it with guests, but would you guys want me to do a version when in the episodes that's just myself? And that version would be my personal list. So like last week we just did random movies. This week we're doing my top movies. Like not really in order, but like we're doing 32 of my favorite movies this week. And so like let's say next week we do like candy. I could do like my 30 favorite candies or whatever, and then make a bracket for the week after that. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want me to be doing it every week? Do you guys want me to just do it when there's guests? And if I do it every week, do you want me to be making it like my own personal list, or do you want me just finding a random one? Let me know, because I'm kind of up in the air on it, and I might just do it randomly, where some weeks when I'm by myself, I do a rank up, and some weeks when I'm not by myself, I don't do a rank up. We'll see how it goes, because I don't know, but this is what we're doing for now. We're going to be adding some new segments here and there, and obviously we'll be taking away other segments too, so like rank up won't be on, this show until the show ends. I mean, whenever it ends. But it's not like it's going to be on the show for the next 18 weeks, because you're going to run out of stuff to kind of rank at some point, right? And to have in brackets. So then we'll replace it with a different segment, and then we'll eventually bring back the bracket system. You know what I mean? So I wanted to give you guys kind of a heads up on that. When it comes to segments, they're not meant to be permanent and last forever, because it's almost impossible to do stuff like that forever. So you'll see them come in waves, and like it'll be here for a bit, it'll go away for a bit, it'll come back, so on and so forth. All right. So without further ado, we're going to be doing a solo rank up today with 32 of my favorite movies of all time. So I want to preface this with a few things. The first thing is, I don't think all of these movies are actually in my favorites. I tried really hard to think of my 32 favorite movies, and I was really struggling. I would look through lists and lists and lists through different genres so I could get like a lot of my favorite movies. But some of the, oops, I just bumped the table. Sorry if that was loud on your ears. But some of these are like I wouldn't necessarily say are like actually some of my favorites. Like you can maybe replace it with other ones, or maybe I just kind of like reached and I was like, oh, I really like that movie, so I'll put that in there just to kind of fill up space. So I do want to preface that. So these are 32 of my favorite movies. These aren't my top 32 movies of all time. That's not how it goes. Second thing is I'm not saying these are the 32 best movies of all time. I am not saying that at all. This is based off personal preference on movies that I have enjoyed and that I have liked watching, and whatever wins it is just going to be the movie that I enjoy the most. I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that these are the best 32 movies of all time, because some of these are kind of like, what? But they're just stupid movies that I enjoy. Third thing, there are a lot of good movies that are omitted from this list because I have not seen a lot of good movies. When I was looking through the list, I saw so many good movies that I was like, oh, I need to see that. Like, I haven't seen 1917. I mentioned last episode with Cade. I've heard that's a really good movie I really want to watch it. I haven't seen The Green Mile, which is, again, a really well-revered movie and one that I need to see. I haven't seen, like, The Prestige, movies like that. I can't think of anything else right now. But I haven't seen a lot of, like, really good movies like that. The Revenant, Moonlight, like these Oscar award-winning movies. So there's a lot that I do need to catch up on, and I will admit that. So like this list could technically change very easily if I had actually seen some of these movies, but it's okay. I haven't seen Shawshank Redemption. I've read the book, but I haven't seen the movie. And I think if I had seen the movie, it would probably be up there because the book was amazing. The story was so much fun to read. I read it in college and it was awesome. Same with a movie like Good Will Hunting. Don't hate on me for that, but I've never seen Good Will Hunting, and I know it's a really great movie, and I love Robin Williams and all that. So it's like I want to see that movie, but I actually have read the script for it when I was doing film classes at my college. I read the script for that movie and The Hurt Locker and Juno and Fargo, and I thought Good Will Hunting was amazing. It was so much fun to read, and I actually think if I had seen that movie, it would probably be up here. But I didn't want to add in the movie just because I had read the script, because visually, seeing it and reading it is completely different. So the way I'm imagining it could be completely different than how the scene was actually portrayed. So I didn't want to add that in because I felt like that was kind of cheating. And I'm missing a ton of classic movies too. I mean, there was, Schindler's List. I mean, there was, I can't even think of any right now, but there's a ton of classic movies that I haven't seen, and I will admit that. And that's on me. But I will try to get to it eventually, and then here's the thing. When I do see some of these classic movies, I will talk about it on the podcast, and I will tell you guys what I think, even though nobody really cares, because it's not like my opinion is the end-all, be-all. But anyways, just wanted to preface it with all that, so if you hear some of these movies and you're like, how is this movie not on there? I more than likely haven't seen the movie you're thinking about. And even if it is a really good movie, I still haven't seen it, because like I said, there's a lot of good movies I haven't seen. I haven't even finished Parasite. I started watching it, and I didn't love it, honestly. So like I don't know, but I also didn't finish it. I was like halfway through, so maybe I just need to finish it and it gets like insane. So who knows? Okay, so I actually myself put these in the bracket. You can have it like randomize it, but I put these in the bracket because I wanted to try to make it like movies that are similar, like kind of similar genres or similar type of movies or whatnot. I didn't want to put like a comedy up against a horror movie because it's very hard to like gauge, because it's very obviously two completely different genres. So I will preface it with that too. So without further ado, we're going to be getting into it. So these are 32 of my favorite movies of all time. 32 of them. Again, not my top 32. Okay, so the first matchup we have here is a very interesting matchup, actually. And you can see why I put these together. Toy Story, the original. I mean, you could say really the whole thing, but the original or / first two. I mean, you can combine the two. Versus Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I put these two together because they're both animated movies. I know they're different types of animation, but they were really the only two that kind of went together. And I didn't want to put like Toy Story up against a horror movie or anything like that, because that just doesn't seem right. Toy Story is one of my favorite movies as a kid. It's like one of my all-time favorites because, the nostalgic factor of it being a kid, from when I was a kid. I actually have Buzz Lightyear shoes that say Andy on the bottom, and I love those shoes. They're awesome. They're Vans. They were limited time. Spider-Verse, when I saw that movie, it was one of the craziest like superhero movies of all time. I really enjoyed it. The cinematography on it was incredible. Like the way the animation was done, the characters were very funny and very well done. Like the colors on that were just popping. So I'm gonna go with Into the Spider-Verse here because I just thought it was very well done overall, and like the way a lot of the reasons that a reason that a lot of the movies that are in here is because of the originality, and it's something that I haven't seen before, or something that just like really stood out to me. Like Into the Spider-Verse, I hadn't seen anything like that before. The way it was filmed, or not filmed, but the way it was like animated, and the story itself, and the colors, and like the dialogue, everything about it was like very unique and very original. And so that's something that I really weigh heavily when I'm doing my the movies that when I'm reviewing or not reviewing, but when I watch movies, and movies that I typically really, really like are very original movies. Again, not all of them are that way. So don't be like, how is that? He just said that he likes only original movies and then he has this movie on it. Again, not like I said, not all of them are that way. Okay, so this one, I put these two together because they have an actor in common. We have Moneyball, which is a baseball movie about, what is his name? Billy Bean? Brandon Bean? I don't remember. It's something Bean. The general manager for the A's, and like he took a really bad team, got a bunch of players that nobody wanted, put them on a team, and they ended up going on like a 23-game win streak, like absolutely insane and unheard of in baseball. True story, by the way. It was based on a true story. Versus Fight Club, so Brad Pitt's in both of these movies. He's the main character in Moneyball. He's one of the main characters in Fight Club. I'm going to give the edge to Fight Club because when I watched that for the first time, which was actually only a couple years ago, which I know is crazy, it blew my mind. I didn't see the twist coming. It was actually insane. I don't know why I'm going to spoil it. If you haven't seen this movie, it came out in 1999. But no, I won't be a jerk. I won't be a jerk because I have a lot of friends around my age, so I don't want to spoil it for them. But the twist was very good in that movie. I didn't see that coming. It was very awesome, very unexpected, like super cool, super fun. So I'm going to give the edge to Fight Club. Even I'm not supposed to be talking about it, but I'm going to give it the edge. So Fight Club wins that one. So this one, we have The Disaster Artist versus This Is the End. You can see why I put these two together. Two comedies, two James Franco movies. And also Seth Rogen's in both these as well. These are, again, 32 of my favorite movies. So I'm not saying that these are necessarily like grade A, S tier movies, but I love The Disaster Artist because I thought the way it was done was awesome. Like, they literally had so many scenes that were exactly the same as the scenes from the original The Room, and just the story itself was very interesting. And I thought it was funny. It was a great fun film. This Is the End is the same thing. Super funny film. It's a very, very, very inappropriate and crude, but it's still super funny. And the way that they were dramatized versions of themselves, like they were all the actors were in this movie were playing themselves, but they were like they were not actually themselves. They were like dramatic and like divas, and like Jonah Hill's character was like a diva, and I'm pretty sure it was like quote unquote gay in the movie. Michael Cera was a huge dick in this movie, but he's I think he's like the opposite in real life. So I really like that movie because of that. So I don't actually know on this one. This is really tough because these are both really funny movies, but I'm gonna go with The Disaster Artist. It's very close, and honestly, I really feel like it's a 50-50 for me. I like The Disaster Artist because I like the homage that they pay to the original movie, and like they recreated those scenes like to a T. I thought that was really interesting, and also there's so many memeable moments from it. Oh, hi Mark. Anyways, and this one, oh dude, Dr. Sleep versus Shutter Island. Oh, two really good psychological thrillers. Dr. Sleep is the sequel to The Shining. Not really a sequel, but it's like a loose sequel to The Shining. Shutter Island, Leonardo DiCaprio movie where him and Mark Ruffalo are detectives and they're investigating, I believe it's somebody who escaped from the asylum. Both these movies are very good. I don't really think there was any twists in Dr. Sleep, but I know there was a huge twist in Shutter Island. And for that huge twist, I'm going with Shutter Island. Dr. Sleep is a great movie, but the originality of Shutter Island is really good. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. I think it's kind of underrated. Same with Dr. Sleep, but I feel like Shutter Island is really underrated. If you haven't seen it, it's a good thriller. I think it's classified as a horror, but it's really a thriller with some good twists and turns in there. And it's a really interesting story. Great acting. It's a really interesting concept. So I do recommend it. And again, it's a very original movie, which is why I'm giving it the edge. All right, so we have now Get Out versus The Invisible Man, the one from a few years ago. There is an original Invisible Man from like in the 50s or 60s, but I haven't seen that. Who has? I'm not even going to really talk on this one. I'm going with Get Out. Get Out was one of the most original movies I had seen at the time, and it really blew my mind. I think The Invisible Man is a great movie if you haven't seen it. It's a really great horror movie or thriller. It's more of a thriller, but it's really great, really interesting. But Get Out was just, I had never even thought of a concept. I don't even know if anybody else had thought of a concept like that before, and it was just so interesting to me. So we're going Get Out. And the acting in that movie is so good, by the way. Daniel Kaluuya, or I think that's how you pronounce his last name. If that's not how you pronounce his last name, I'm sorry. But he's such a good actor. I think he's, again, somebody who's underrated. Like, every movie he's in, he's good. All right, now we got 2 zombie movies here. World War Z versus Zombieland. Again, these are kind of not necessarily the best movies in the world, but they're movies that I thoroughly enjoyed. Zombieland has the original aspect to it. World War Z doesn't entirely have the originality aspect to it, but I just really liked World War Z. This is one I'm not going to discuss too much. I'm going Zombieland. It was funny. It was original. It was meta a bit. It kind of broke the fourth wall kind of, and I do enjoy movies that do that. And it was one of those things that when it came out, we hadn't really seen a ton of things like it at the time. So we are going Zombieland. Also, a movie that's like that I actually just thought of, it's Scout's Guide to Survive the Apocalypse or whatever. I haven't seen it, but I want to see it. So I'm adding that to my list too, because I really want to see that movie. All right. We got 2 more comedies. We have Without a Paddle, the first one, the good one, versus Napoleon Dynamite. Now, listen. Napoleon Dynamite is a really great movie. Without a Paddle, on the other hand, I don't think it's necessarily a super good movie, but it's got the 3 actors in it I really thoroughly enjoy. Dude, Matthew Lillard is one of my favorite actors, a.k.a. Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I love Matthew Lillard. I love Dax Shepard. I'm a huge fan of Seth Green. Like, all 3 of them, I think they're really funny. They seem like really good guys in real life. I love that movie. It's not necessarily the funniest movie. It's not necessarily the most action-packed movie. And it's not necessarily the best written movie, but I still really enjoy it, and I own it. It's one of the few movies that I actually own, which is why it's on the list, because I just think it's funny, and it's also based in Oregon, which is where I'm from, and there's not a ton of movies that are based in Oregon, so that's another reason why I enjoyed it too. And the story is kind of interesting. I will say it's kind of interesting, but it is kind of just a silly comedy at the end of the day. Napoleon Dynamite is the same thing, but it's just one of those movies, man, where it's like it's an independent film almost. Like they didn't have any big actors in it. They just had like a bunch of unknowns, basically. I don't even know what their budget was. And they have just this really, honestly, almost unlikable character in Napoleon Dynamite. Like, he's just so, like, against everything. He's always so agitated, and he's always starting beef. Just, oh, gosh. And it's just so funny. I think it's very original, very well written. As much as I love Without a Paddle, and I would love to have it advance, because Without a Paddle is actually one of my favorite movies, I am going to give it to Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And if you disagree with me, I don't care. I think it's S tier on the comedy level. Just the way it's just well done all around. Shout out to John Heater, I think his name. He's also from Oregon as well. So we had 2 Oregon things there. All right, this one we have The Nice Guys, which is the Ryan Gosling, Russell Crowe cop movie, versus Now You See Me, the first one. I really like both these movies. I thought The Nice Guys was very original. It was like 2 kind of like funny. They're not really cops. I don't know why I said cops, but I think they're private investigators that work together. Now You See Me is the magician movie with like Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Dave Franco. It's really good. I really enjoyed those movies. The sleight of hand is really cool. I've always really enjoyed like stuff to do with magic in general. So that movie was really interesting to me because there's a lot of sleight of hand, there's a lot of trickery, and you're trying to figure out how they're doing their tricks, like what's going on. And they don't really tell you how they do the tricks until the very end, so you're kind of left in suspense a little bit, and there's kind of twists. So it's really cool. The Nice Guys is going to win this one, though, because it's more original. I thought it was very interesting, and I actually really want there to be a sequel for this one, even though I'm against sequels. But I thought it was really cool, really well done, and it was funny, and it was action-packed, and it was very, like, the story was interesting and original, so I'm going with that one. Okay, so we're still on the left side of the bracket. There is a right side, but if you don't remember from last week's episode, it does one whole side before it does the other side. So we're now into the second round on the left side, which we have Into the Spider-Verse versus Fight Club. Man, this is really tough. I'm going to try to be quick, though. I don't want this to just drag on and on and on because I have a whole other side. So I'm not going to go into each movie too much. I already have done that. So I'm going to give the edge here to Fight Club slightly. I think I like Into the Spider-Verse potentially better, but I think Fight Club, for the originality and just the twist at the end, it propels it slightly above Into the Spider-Verse. But I see an argument for either or, so I wouldn't be mad if somebody disagreed with me there. Right now we have the Disaster Artist versus Shutter Island. I'm gonna go Shutter Island again. Originality. I think it's a good story. Like what's the word? you're hooked from like the get go. And movies that can do that from start to finish, I think deserve a lot of praise. Get Out versus Zombieland, two of my all-time favorite movies. And as much as I want to go Zombieland because it's really funny, really great, Get Out has to surpass it. Get Out's still one of the best films I've ever seen. If you disagree with me, that sucks. Napoleon Dynamite versus The Nice Guys. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, man. I'm going to go with... That's really tough, actually. I'm going to go with Napoleon Dynamite, honestly. It's, again, that's a toss-up, but something about Napoleon Dynamite, man. It's just a classic movie that... I think The Nice Guys is really good, but Napoleon Dynamite is quite literally just a classic that you will reference till the end of time. There's memes about it. It's in pop culture, so I'm going with Napoleon Dynamite there. Now we have Fight Club versus Shutter Island. We're on to the semifinals, I think, or I don't know, quarterfinals. I'm gonna go with Fight Club on this one. These are two actually very similar movies, Fight Club and Shutter Island. I feel like they're very similar because they both have twists at the end. You have this whole plot throughout the whole thing, and then it kind of like it changes at the last second. But I think Fight Club wins that one just because I don't know why. I just like it slightly more. Get Out versus Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite, you had a phenomenal run. Yeah, I said phenomenal, but Get Out's gonna beat you. All right, now we have Fight Club versus Get Out. Oh man, this is really hard. Get Out won it last time. Get Out won it when I did this with Cade, and I don't want it to necessarily win this one. And I do think Fight Club actually has a really good, it's a really good competition for Get Out. But I'm gonna go with Get Out here. It's tough. Some people are probably listening to this like, dude, how could you choose that movie over this movie? From the second round on, all those were very close matchups. All those were very close, and it could have gone any other way. So I don't think Get Out's gonna win it, the whole thing, but we'll see. All right, so now we have The Cabin in the Woods, which is it's a very interesting horror movie. It's more thriller / comedy. It's actually very interesting if you haven't seen it. There's a cool subplot to it. Versus A Quiet Place. You already know how I feel about A Quiet Place. My boy John Krasinski, one of my favorite actors. I'm going A Quiet Place. Enough said. Oh, man. We have Saw 1, the first Saw, versus the original Scream. So two iconic horror movie franchises. The originals, the ones that started it all. The first Jigsaw, if you've seen the movie, the incredible twist ending that you don't see coming. There's so many like puzzles and stuff you're trying to solve with them along the way. It's insane. It's like an escape room movie almost, but not like the movie Escape Room. That wasn't super good. Versus Scream, the original Scream. Again, you don't really know who the killer is. You think it's gonna be this person. You think it's gonna be that person. It ends up being two people. You don't expect it. Again, my boy Matthew Lillard. Shout out Matthew Lillard though. We love Matthew Lillard. I will say too, one thing about both these franchises. We didn't need as many movies as you produced, but okay. There's like 8 Jigsaws, and now they're actually coming out with a 6th Scream. I saw it when I was looking at movies today, so that's cool. But we don't need that many, so let's relax. Honestly, this one's a toss-up too, but personal preference, the Jigsaw franchise is probably my favorite horror movie franchise of all time. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to the Jigsaw movie, but I think that was a coin flip. That's a toss-up. The acting in Scream is really good too, but I just think it's really cool in Jigsaw how like the two strangers in the bathroom or whatever it is in that movie where they're locked in there, how their story gets told in that. And again, originality. I mean, Scream is a slasher, so it's not super original because we've seen slashers before. Jigsaw was much different. So, okay, we got Seven versus Zodiac. I forgot what some of these matchups were, so this is exciting. Seven. It has to do with the 7 deadly sins. There's a serial killer who's killing people based off the 7 deadly sins, so gluttony, greed, envy, stuff like that. Versus Zodiac, which is about the Zodiac killer. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it. Both these movies have a great cast. I mean, great acting, great stories. They're both about serial killers, both about crime, solving. One's about a real serial killer, one's about a fictitious one. I'm going to give the edge to Zodiac. Zodiac is one of my favorite movies, and I think I like it more because it's based off true crime a little bit, and I do like true crime. So it was cool to kind of learn the story of the Zodiac while also getting to watch some really good actors in it. But Seven is a really great movie with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, so I do recommend that one if you haven't seen it as well. Also has Kevin Spacey, but we don't really like Kevin Spacey because of what he's done in Hollywood to people. Oh, we got two Leonardo DiCaprio movies here. We have The Departed versus Inception. The Departed, it's got an all-star cast. Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg. Absolutely insane. Really great movie. It's one of those movies that's got twists. It's got two different sides. It's got about Boston cops. It's about a rat that's in the Boston police force, but he's actually working for, the mob or whatever. And it's got a guy who's in the mob who's actually working for the cops. It's really insane. It's a really cool storyline. And it bounces from all the storylines. It's really awesome. Inception, though, I have the poster up for Inception right to my right here. It's a movie that I've only seen a few times because the more I watch it, the more I think about it, and I can't keep thinking about it because it hurts my brain. And none of us really know how it ended. None of us really know what the ending was. It was interpreted to us. It was up to us as the viewers, and I really like that. Again, going into dreams and doing stuff in people's dreams, a very original idea. I think The Departed is original as well. But we've seen Boston cops, we've seen rats, we've seen people we've seen people that double cross is what it was called. The police force, or they'll work for the mob, but they're actually undercover or whatever. So I'm gonna give the win to Inception there. All right, we have two one-word horror movies here. We have another Jordan Peele movie in Us, and we also have the It movie from, I think, 2017. Two great horror movies. I think I'm going to go with It. I have actually both an Us and an It poster up to my right, but It, to me, was so good because, first of all, the camaraderie, like I mentioned last episode, the camaraderie of kids in movies or TV shows, there's something about it that we all love. I mean, Stranger Things, Goonies, Stand By Me, It. It's something that we all root for, I guess, like Sandlot, stuff like that. And that movie was so funny, and also it was actually intense, and it was scary at times, and it was kind of it was really good. So even if some people like the original better with Ted Curry, I think his name is, I don't care. I'm going with It on that one. All right, these two didn't really go together, but I had nowhere else to put these. We have The Dark Knight versus Knives Out. Now, I don't know if Knives Out really is one of my 32 favorites, but I do remember really liking it. It was like watching a game of Clue, basically. It was really cool. I thought the acting was really good. Ana de Armas does a great job. Daniel Craig does a great job with his little country accent or whatever he does. The acting was really good in that, even if some of the characters were so annoying. But they were so annoying because they were great at acting. So, Dark Knight, though, as a kid growing up, when it came out, was quite literally my favorite movie of all time. And it still is one of my top movies of all time. So, I'm going to go with The Dark Knight. And you may disagree with me on that, but I loved it. Oh, dude. We have The Dark Knight Rises, which is the third one in the Christian Bale trilogy, versus Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, if you have not seen Nightcrawler, listen to it after this podcast. I believe it's on Netflix. It should be somewhere. Absolute insane movie. The Dark Knight Rises I loved because I loved Bane. I thought Bane was a great villain. Tom Hardy did a great job. And I loved the Christian Bale Batmans. But Nightcrawler is a psychological thriller. It's about a guy. I don't know what they're called. I don't remember what they're called. But it's about people who, when there's an accident or when there's a shooting or whatever, they're the ones filming it, and they sell their footage to TV stations, and that's how they make money. That's what Jake Gyllenhaal's character does in this movie, and only his character is mentally deranged a bit, and he gets obsessed with it to the point where he'll go in there before the police even get there and stuff like that, because he'll be stalking people to try to figure stuff out. And because he'll want to get the scoop like that so he can make his money. He becomes obsessed. It's very interesting, very psychological. I love that aspect of it. And Jake Gyllenhaal's character has mental issues in it, so it's very interesting to see how his character acts. So we're going to go with Nightcrawler on that one. Again, if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. All right, this one we have The Internship, a Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson movie. Again, I don't really know if this one's up there. I think you kind of could put The Wedding Crashers here. I was going with the Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson one, though, because I do like their movies together. I know I have some friends who don't, but I do. Versus Superbad. Superbad is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I know I said that about Napoleon Dynamite, but Superbad, again, it's very crude, very crass, inappropriate, but it's so funny to me. And I have a poster of it to my right, and I quote it all the time with my friends. It's so funny. It's a great story. And actually, the funny part about it is some of the stuff that actually happened in the movie is based off stuff that Seth Rogen and his friend Evan Goldberg experienced in real life, which I think is really funny and really cool to think about. So we're going to go Superbad. Superbad's going to be really hard to beat. I'm going to warn you guys right now. It's going to be super hard to beat Superbad. I didn't mean to do that, but that went together perfectly. Right now we have A Quiet Place versus Saw, the original Saw. Super tough, but I'm going to go with Saw. A Quiet Place I would have given it to, but Saw was unlike anything we had seen at the time. A Quiet Place, we've seen Bird Box, we've seen stuff like that. I still think A Quiet Place is original and very good, but I'm going to give the edge to Saw, despite the fact that I love John Krasinski. Next, we have Zodiac versus Inception. Ooh. I'm going to give the edge to Inception. Again, originality is going to be something that really trumps over a lot of these movies. I mean, not all of them. Not all of them. I'm warning you right now because I already know what one of them is going to be. But, yeah, Inception's going to get the edge because of the originality. And I think just when you don't really know how a movie ends, that's really cool to me. It can be kind of annoying to me at the same time, but the fact that, like, I could think it ends one way and you can think it ends another way is amazing to me. All right, we have It versus The Dark Knight. I'm going to go with The Dark Knight because shout out to Heath Ledger. May he rest in peace. His performance in that movie was absolutely insane. It was absolutely stellar. It was one of the best acting performances I've ever seen. He just did a great job, and unfortunately, it ended up being the downfall of him. But I think the way he performed in that movie was incredible. The writing was really good, too. Don't get me wrong, but, I mean, Heath Ledger carried that movie. I think It is really great. The kids are funny. The movie's awesome, but I'm going to give it because of Heath Ledger. Now, we have Nightcrawler versus Superbad. I didn't really actually realize this before I made this, but Nightcrawler actually is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is definitely up there. Like, not like thinking about it while I'm doing this, like it's genuinely one of my favorite movies. It's just very good to me. And I didn't realize that before, honestly. So it's really cool to kind of actually think about that and make that connection and realization now. So maybe I got to get a poster for it to my right. Maybe I got to add that to the wall. That being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, I know I just talked about originality and Superbad, kind of original, kind of not. You can make an argument for it being original. You can make an argument for it not being original. We're going to give the edge to Superbad. It's hilarious. All-star cast. I mean, I talked about only Michael Cera and Jonah Hill. There's Seth Rogen in the movie. There's McLovin, who I can never pronounce that guy's name. My voice is cracked, but it's fine. His first name's Christopher. It's like Christopher Mintz, and I don't know what the hyphen is. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. Also, Bill Hader, who's one of my favorite actors. He's great in the show Barry. I just think Superbad, it's one of those movies that just will always make me laugh. It's just such a good time, and it makes me laugh. It's stupid at times, but it's funny. It's just good. It's a good time, and any movie that can just make me feel good all the time, I will go with. So even though it's not super original, and I know Nightcrawler is, I went with it. Somebody like, I can't believe you went with that. There's people who probably don't even think Superbad's funny. But personally, it is one of my favorite movies of all time and one of the funniest. And I've noticed I've been moving my hands a lot while I'm doing this, so I'm sorry if I look Italian or anything right now. I'm just moving my hands a lot. For whatever reason, I'm just talking with my hands today. Okay, we're almost done. Sorry for dragging this out so long. I hope you guys are still enjoying it. But we have the original Saw versus Inception. Oh, man, that's actually so hard. I do have the Inception on my wall. I do. But Saw, I mean, these are both original movies. Done things we hadn't seen before. We haven't seen anything like Inception since it came out, really. I mean, how many dream movies have we seen like that? I'm going to give the edge to Inception because of that. I mean, I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan anyways, so, I mean, I'm cool with that. We have The Dark Knight versus Superbad. Quite literally, at one point in time, my two favorite movies. Superbad was number 1. Dark Knight was number 2. No joke. So this is actually really tough for me, but I'm going to go Superbad. You guys might hate me for it. You guys, listen. This is my personal preference. I don't necessarily think Superbad is a better movie than these, but this is a personal preference, okay? Now we have Superbad versus Inception. Again, two of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I'm going to go Superbad. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. I can feel the angry comments right now. Don't hate me. It's just one of my favorite movies. I don't know why. I can't really tell you why. I've tried telling you why. I'll be honest. I've tried. But it's just one of those movies, that just resonated well with me and that I love. Kind of like Without a Paddle, only this one's a lot better than Without a Paddle, obviously. So I'm going to go with Superbad. So now we are in the championship round. We have Get Out versus Superbad. Now, are these my two favorite movies of all time? No. Get Out is not in my top 2. Get Out's probably top 10 for me. I think if we were doing top 2, we would have done maybe Superbad and Dark Knight, or Superbad and Inception, or Superbad and like Nightcrawler, which I just realized is probably one of my top 5. I don't really know what my top 2 is, but ladies and gentlemen, I do know what my number 1 is. And I've known this for some time. And I knew what was going to win this before I even did it. When I thought of this idea last week, I knew already who was going to win it. Superbad is going to take the win because it's my personal favorite movie of all time. Now, do I think Superbad is better than Get Out? Absolutely not. I do not think Superbad is better than Get Out because Get Out is very original. It's a thriller. It's psychological. Makes you think. Superbad is just a silly, goofy comedy. Makes you laugh a lot, but there's not a lot of substance to it, right? But personally, Superbad is just my favorite movie, so that's what we went with. So don't hate on me. Don't hate on me. It's okay if you feel differently. These are just my personal favorites, okay? It was meant to, and there were some really tough choices, honestly. There were some toss-ups that I basically had to flip a coin in my head to decide on some of these. So now you know Superbad is my favorite movie of all time. I could have just told you guys that, but this was a more fun way to do it so you guys could kind of see how I rank the movies and how I view the movies. I know I kind of went into a lot of detail on some of the movies, so I'm sorry if that kind of dragged on, but I wanted to explain the movies in case some people hadn't seen some of them so that they knew kind of what I was talking about, and instead of it being just completely random and they're like, I don't even know what that movie is, and he chose it to go to the third round. Like, what the heck? So thank you guys for tuning in. I also want to give a huge shout out, or a quick shout out. There's apparently somebody in New Zealand that has listened to this podcast. I don't know if they are a continuous listener or if they just listen to it one time or whatever, but we're global, yo. We're global. We got somebody in New Zealand. I mean, it was Canterbury. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not. So shout out New Zealand. I was actually able to look at the analytics, and I didn't realize that I could see by country, and I could actually view it by state in the U.S. Like, I got people in Tennessee. I know who's in Tennessee, so shout out to you guys. I got people in Virginia. Again, I know the Virginians. I had people in Vegas. I know who they are. Shout out. I got people in Colorado. Shout out. I know who they are. But it's really cool. Like, I don't remember what states, but there were some cities that, like, I don't know who they are. Like, I don't know. So it's really cool to kind of see, like, the analytics and see, like, who's listening and from where. So shout out to wherever you're listening from. If you're in my state of Oregon, if you're in a different state, and if you know me or if you don't know me, shout out to you. So yeah, we're going to end the episode there. I really appreciate it. We've been going for a long time, way longer than I thought, actually, and I'm really happy about that. I think this was a good episode. I actually talked about a lot. I hope you guys are liking the ranked up thing. If there are any ideas you guys have on how I can improve it, please let me know. I'll take constructive criticism. I don't think anything I do is perfect, so I am always willing and open to suggestions and ideas on it. Like if I should do less, if I should do it differently, or whatever. Anyways, you can follow us on TikTok. It's at Frivolous Pod. I upload there twice a week. I haven't been uploading twice a week because I've been very busy, but I upload at least once a week, and it will be twice a week. I upload on Monday or Tuesday. You'll get a sneak peek. You'll get a clip from that week's episode. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I will upload a post asking you to comment down below and give me suggestions and topics and stuff to talk about for that week's episode. Also, if you're listening to this, you can subscribe to the YouTube. It's just it's a Frivolous podcast. It's the same picture as what's on the listening platform that you're listening to. Full video episodes go up at the same time as the audio episodes go up on Spotify or Apple or Google, wherever you listen to. And there will be more footage on there eventually, like behind the scenes and maybe like some, I'm not going to say vlogs. I don't know what I'm thinking, but like behind the scenes and maybe some like cut footage I'll upload on there as well, like just so you guys can kind of see like some of the stuff I've cut and didn't have time for. I think that would be really interesting because I have to cut stuff when I interview my guests, so it'd be really interesting if I could put that on my YouTube as like a bonus footage for you guys. So yeah, that about does it for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me talk for 8 episodes. If you've made it this far, or if you're brand new, welcome. And I hope you'll stick with us on this journey. I'm having a good time. This episode was actually a lot of fun. I was kind of dreading it, as I mentioned before when I started, but it was super fun and I had a really great time. I'm kind of losing my voice now, so that's cool. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to go chill. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope it's starting to get warm where you're at. It's starting to get warm where I'm at, and I'm super excited for summer. I hope you guys are too. I don't really have a ton planned, but that's sometimes the best plans or no plans, right? So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'm wishing you guys good mental health. I will see you next week. Bye.